The Cardano Foundation has just confirmed that they spent $24 million in order to push the adoption for Cardano in the last year alone. But it's actually interesting given the fact that they've earned or generated a profit of over $60 million, given the fact that their BTC holdings have now doubled and the fact that they've been able to earn $12 million by staking their current ADA holdings. As a part of today's video, we're breaking down the first ever released financial analysis for the Cardano Foundation. What's up, ADA Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here for Reed. As a part of today's video, we've got breaking news and a first of its kind coming from the CF, or the Cardano Foundation. That's the first ever release of their financial insights report, which we'll be breaking down as a part of today's video. Now, before we dive any further, if it's your first time stopping by and you appreciate Cardano content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up on the way in. GM. If you want more content just like this and you do appreciate it, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down below. So we're going to break down the entire budget, what the CF has been doing with their ADA holdings, and exactly how this compares to the current Cardano treasury amount. Now, I also want to close out by highlighting an ongoing budget discussion where we're trying to still figure out exactly how much we should, as a community, put towards funding Cardano and its development for the year of 2025, with an estimated amount of anywhere being withdrawn from 100 million ADA all the way to nearly 300 million ADA. So that means anywhere between $60 million, given the current price of ADA at 60 cents, all the way up to $180 million that we could potentially be spending on the adoption and the expansion of the Cardano blockchain. But that'll be for a separate conversation. So let's jump into here. And first and foremost, I just want to congratulate the Cardano Foundation for showing transparency. Obviously, they're one of the three founding entities here. So we have the Cardano Foundation, a nonprofit based organization. We also have Emergo, which is dealing with adoption and business development. They are for profit. And then, of course, you've got IOG developing all of the core functions or features for the Cardano node itself. And of course, they're run by Charles, and they are for profit there as well. So it starts off by saying Cardano Foundation, an independent Swiss-based nonprofit organization tasked with advancing the public digital infrastructure that is Cardano, has now launched its first ever financial insights report today. Again, we're going to dive into that here in just a moment. As you guys can see here, quite a bit of information to break down. Now, if you aren't aware, the Cardano Foundation right now currently employs 100 different members, which include businesses, regulators, and policymakers. Now, in 2023, the Cardano Foundation allocated $19.2 million across the foundation's three mutually reinforcing focus areas, which are operational resilience, education, and adoption. In addition, $4.5 million was dedicated to central operational costs as the Cardano Foundation expanded its capacity to support and drive forward new key initiatives, which one of those is governance. Now, breaking down here each of those three bits, looking at the financial summary, operational resilience, and education. As of December 31st of 2023, the foundation had an amount of $478 million under their control, of which 82% was basically held in ADA. Now, if you do a little bit of the math there, that's around 668 million ADA. And just for comparison here, as it stands, we have around 1.59 billion ADA in the current Cardano treasury, valued at $906 million. So almost a third of the current Cardano treasury is being held by the Cardano Foundation in ADA. In addition, the foundation also has 10.1% held in Bitcoin and the remainder in USD liquidity. Now, the Cardano Foundation was founded by the initial ADA vouchers. For anybody who isn't aware, I'll break a little bit of that down, but we basically had a public offering taking place in Japan where the community or anybody could have invested into Cardano. And then as a part of that, we also saw the vouchers going out to the three founding entities, and I'll break down the actual specific amounts that went to IOG, the CF, and Emergo. Now, scrolling down here in terms of operational resilience, they've now run the Cardano network for over 2,500 days. So this is actually a little bit outdated here. If you're looking back at 2023, of course, that makes sense. But as it currently stands, Cardano has now been up for over 2,600 days only second place to Bitcoin, which of course is the king in this space. They've also now tested the decentralized governance mechanisms with SPOs. And then moving down towards education, if you aren't aware, the Cardano Foundation has their own Cardano Academy. They've also launched a Cardano Explorer. And then there's also a webinar series called Let's Talk Cardano that was launched. And then, of course, they've hosted the recent Cardano Summit taking place in 2024, but they've also hosted the one last year in 2023. In terms of adoption, they've basically been working to integrate a lot of different platforms together to make the experience here on Cardano a single unified seamless experience. So I won't break down any of those technical details there, but they do give a really nice breakdown, a really nice summary of all of their recent efforts. So jumping into the actual report here, of course, I'll leave the link to this down below. We've got a nice breakdown here of the annual expenses. So if I zoom in here, again, we can see where each portion went towards, and the majority of the expenses going towards adoption. So let me know what you guys think down below. Again, $12 million or 54% of the total amount spent last year, which is $23 million going back towards adoption. We then have $4.18 million going towards education, and then $2 million going towards operational resilience. And then the operational cost or the expansion, right, of the CF has cost them nearly $4.5 million. Scrolling down here, I mentioned the breakdown for the vouchers. Again, we have the everyday community, which was awarded 58% of the ADA vouchers when the initial sale for Cardano had occurred. And then we saw 31% going towards the reserve, and then 11% going towards the pioneering entities. Now, anything that wasn't sold went straight to the reserve. And then, of course, that 11% here is broken down where IOG has 48% of that, or received 48% of that. The foundation received 12% of that, and then Emergo received 40% of that. So if I'm not mistaken, IOG and Emergo should have even more of an ADA holding. Of course, that was back when Cardano launched, so they may have actually spent that on developments and things like that. But I did at least want to break down that initial allocation. So if you aren't aware, Cardano currently has a max and a hard cap supply of 45 billion ADA. And again, the 31% that wasn't distributed has gone back straight into the reserves. Now, in terms of rewards, right, and how rewards are calculated on chain, it states the distribution of the rewards pot is based on the set parameters that allocates 20% to the Cardano treasury, which I mentioned has 1.59 billion ADA currently in it, and then an additional 80% going towards staking rewards, again, incentivizing people to delegate to SPOs in order to secure the blockchain. Now, scrolling down just a little bit further here, we have the holdings broken down. And one thing that I want to highlight here is the fact that the holdings of BTC, which is nearly around 8,000 BTC, has doubled in value since 2023. So when this report or this particular snapshot was taken, the foundation had 10% of their holdings in BTC. That 10% would have been around $48 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, that was around the $45,000 range. Bitcoin has now done 110% gains since then, meaning that that $48 million is worth somewhere around $90 million. So the fact that Bitcoin has basically doubled in price has already sort of wiped out all of the expenses, putting the Cardano Foundation at a net positive if you were to take and if you were to do the math there. So hopefully that makes sense. The foundation spending somewhere around, let me just confirm again, $23 million, but then they actually have earned, because of the price appreciation of Bitcoin, they've actually earned over $40 million in the last year alone. Now, granted, when they took the snapshot, ADA was around 60 cents. And as I'm shooting this video 1 year later, ADA is around 60 cents again, meaning that the valuation of ADA should still be relatively similar. So without diving too much deeper here, I did want to quickly highlight that as we get ready to wrap up here with their 648 million ADA, what they've actually been able to do is stake that. And what they've actually received in exchange for that is a 3% return totaling out to 20 million ADA. So right now, if I, let's see here, take 20 million ADA and I multiply that by 60 cents, just from staking alone, they basically made $12 million. So I think it's safe to say that while the foundation has spent $23 million in order to operate in the last year, they've actually earned or made 12 million. So basically half of that amount through staking rewards. And then, of course, again, an additional 40 or so million dollars from the price appreciation of Bitcoin. But as I get ready to close out here, I want to quickly reiterate the importance of the Intersect Budget Committee. So understanding the fact that the foundation has spent $23 million dollars, and the fact that for Cardano as a whole, we're looking to budget anywhere between $60 million dollars all the way to $180 million dollars, lets me know that we're not too far off here. So to be able to operate at a scale such as this, where this annual budget will be not just for the foundation, but for the entire ecosystem, I think anywhere between 3 to 5 times that amount is definitely tolerable. Let me know what you guys think down below. But of course, as the valuation and the price of ADA increases, we should hopefully be able to pull out less ADA from the treasury, given the fact that ADA will be worth a lot more. So that will do it here for today's video, breaking down and diving into the details here for the first ever report or budget summary from the Cardano Foundation. One thing I would definitely love to see is something very similar to this for IOG or Emergo. I understand, of course, that they're for profit, so they're not necessarily held to the same sort of standard, but I think that transparency and honesty definitely does go a long way in this particular space. That'll do it here for today's video. If you found any portion of this to be helpful or informational, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more educational content just like this, focused on Cardano, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave those down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.